You are now tuned in to Deserts TV, the network that makes content that will change your life.
Presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for dead fuck presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. Presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for dead fuck presidents.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, like we had just previously said, this is Realest State of Mind, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get the air horns.
You know, kind of off rip, I just want to ask, where'd you get the name Real Estate of Mind?
That's kind of funny. I felt like I was thinking, where do I want to take it? And I was talking to Steve one day, and I felt like I heard it in a song. Rick Ross said, I'm into real estate and the real estate of mind. He said something like that, but it sounded crazy to me.
Yeah.
So I kept saying it like, I'm in the real estate and the real estate of mind. I'm trying to get my real estate license. So, I'm trying to get in that mode. And by the time we got to the show, I think I had just said it so many times to where eventually I realized, this is realest state of mind.
Right.
Kind of just naturally came about.
I like that.
Thank you.
It has a nice ring to it.
Thank you. We try to make a quick little play on words. Yeah. But yeah, it's good to have you back, Caleb. Anything new that you like to share with us?
I had some great food.
Okay.
Comfort LA. Shout out Comfort LA.
That's crazy.
Shout out to my last episode. We have to take them to the spot, man.
It's kind of crazy. They showed up in our Spread the Sugar, Share the Wealth segment. Steve heard that and said, you know what? Let's go over there and see if they open today.
Yeah, I had that dinner combo, 5 wings.
Had to get a quick plate.
Had some mac and cheese with the greens, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Had some French fries on the side, and it was about $13 for the combo. Can't beat that, man.
And I'm telling you, we weren't able to sit in there because of the Rona, but it's just smooth vibes in there. They got Jenga, they got card games, they got board games, they got the whole 9 in there for you to just catch a vibe, bro. Like,
man, think
bring a nice party and just catch a vibe.
All those activities and that people are missing out on.
Yeah, because of Corona.
At a black-owned restaurant.
Black-owned.
Because of Rona.
Hey, man, what you call that? We call that black excellence, but it's the Rona.
That
man.
we do, but it's a blessing that they were able to do curbside and delivery at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So
shout out to resources, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's, this whole Corona thing has impacted so many people in so many different ways. But I think it was definitely an opportunity for us to look inside what our true intentions are in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Spending time with family.
Mm-hmm.
Can we adapt to this new way of living? And I'm honestly appreciative of what 2020 has brought, even with the Corona and all this anxiety and worry that's in the air. I think there's also some really good things that have come from it. I don't know about you guys. Have you picked up some hobbies or something throughout? I know I got on the photography wave real quick.
I for sure picked up a few new tips and tricks. Started recently learning how to use an embroidery machine, a heat press machine, to try to bring back the merchandise with Deserts.
Shout out to Deserts, man.
Shout out Deserts.
Always a shout out to Deserts.
You guys wouldn't be listening to this pod if it wasn't for Deserts. So
kind of crazy. Deserts TV.
Kind of thankful for him. You know what I mean? So
I appreciate that,
Deserts,
Steve.
man. Shout out to Mr. D, D, whatever you want to call him.
That's what using your social platform is all about, man. Shout out the businesses of your friends, your loved ones. Put them out there. It takes 2 seconds.
That it does.
Let's start it. Start the movement now, where we just shout out our friends' businesses, our friends' businesses. And let's keep the word moving.
And what's crazy? People would rather support somebody they don't even know.
Right.
Somebody they see on social media and be like, "Oh, he looks cool. Let me support him."
Just because he's got 144,000 followers.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But they'd rather support them than support their own local stuff, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. My man has a desserts baking, right? And he bakes and stuff like that. But people rather go to the store and buy some shit than to support a black man here trying to make a living. You know what I mean? That's
is it
crazy.
jealousy? Can you call it that?
No, I wouldn't necessarily call it that because it all depends. Maybe
Is it self-hate? Hey, I don't know. I'm ready to pod, bro. That's
but I don't necessarily think it has to be those things. I think sometimes it may be all of that, but sometimes it might just be they don't want what's on my menu. And I have to be comfortable with they may not want what I offer. But then also like who is my target market at the same time too. So on the other end of that, it's like, yeah, we can get so caught up on maybe they don't support, but we kind of touched on that on part one. It's like I could fixate on that or I could fixate on where the support is coming at. Yeah. Like when I first started Desserts, like great, y'all got me there now. When I first started Desserts, it was interesting to see the comments. Excuse me. It was interesting to see the comments that came like about my price point, my this, my that. And I got a lot of drawback from like some people like we went to school with, some adults. Like it came in many different areas, right?
I ain't gonna lie. I think I was one of them, to be honest.
Steve probably was one of them. Like $40 for a cake?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Like,
no, I'm facts. Like,
no, I heard it.
I for sure said something. Until you learn about, how much it takes to do it, how not everybody's actually doing it, and then the man has to make some type of money as well. You know what I mean? So once you start really understanding that, at that point, you should be like, okay, let me support more black businesses. Yeah, I might pay a little bit more, but it's because the man doesn't have as many resources as and he's putting a lot more into it than, let's say, you go to Rouse and get some fucking cookies or.
Well,
or whatever,
I hate it.
I mean?
I hate it. I'm gonna get to that in a second. I hated the comparison to the grocery store, or I hated the comparison to the known like big time bakery. But that's only because they're a well-oiled machine, so they obviously have the resources to do things cheaper than I can do things, and it's not just a one-man band as well, and that's kind of where I started off at. And like the goal was to help fund my education at that time too, though. So like if you knew me in that time, like I was in I keep talking about these bad spaces, but I do have happy times. Don't get it twisted. But I was in a messed up space in that time. I'm my most creative self when I'm in a bad space, if we're going to be honest. And that's where Desserts came from. And I needed to fund my education. Like it was me growing up. And at that point, it's like, okay, well, it's go time now. You know what I mean? Like you kind of been dipping and dabbling, knowing that you want to this was before I really knew the word entrepreneurship as well. So I knew I just always wanted to be a businessman, right? That's all I'm about. That I'm about business. That was just what I knew, right? But around that time, I started learning about the word entrepreneurship, understanding that was me to a T.
And where'd you learn most of that from? Like, who was that first person that like really showed you that what entrepreneurship was?
Oh, well, my biggest inspiration as it pertains to anything entrepreneurship comes from my dad. Like I have memories of like my dad like owning a pizzeria. We doing like our landscaping stuff. Like most recently, like our times in the food truck. Like many different avenues, many different areas, but he's done a great job of helping me know to be versatile with my game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, shout out to your dad.
Shout out to Pops, man, the OG. If we were standing together, he would say, "Yeah, I'm the original D'Artagnan."
Shout out to D'Artagnan Senior. Let's hear their horns for that one, man.
Let's
Real
get
talk.
horns for my OG. But yeah, when I first started, there was a lot of like that type of a reaction, and I reacted aggressively towards it at times too, to where like I remember one of the first people, and I always reference this girl specifically, but she had said something to me, and I was like, and I wasn't mad that you don't want my stuff at that time too, because I knew off rip everybody's not gonna order from me. I was just happy to get whatever I was gonna get. I was going into it in that angle, but I did not expect to get the drawback. So when I started receiving it for my pricing and just anything, I was like, whoa, like how dare you like say something to me about this or that and da 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 da. And over time, I realized that's not how you can react. That's not how I can be responding to situations. And I talk about now about trying to be more diplomatic in situations like that, to where now somebody says something to me like that, oh, I'm comfortable with saying, oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your input. Like, you don't know how much that means to me, and thank you. And
there's less pressure to please, to please people. You're kind of staying more true to yourself and taking a step back and listening.
Well, and also I realized too, more than ever, I don't need to be arguing with people over here because they didn't place an order.
Yeah,
but there are people on this other side, like that's the point of like where you want to focus at, right? Because I like right now I'm promoting for my Thanksgiving special this year, right? The first time I did it, like I had the 7-Up and a pound cake on the menu, right? Both $40 out my mom's kitchen. I got the flyers I'm passing out. I'm just creating it. I go to the restaurant stores out in Oakland. I get my cake boxes. I'm trying to bring it up. I may have started promoting it maybe a week before Thanksgiving, and I think I got like 14 cake orders, and I was so juiced to get those 14 cake orders because I was like, oh word, like maybe actually let me not, because I might have been like, dang, I wish I may have got more. But I remember my sister saying, well, you just introduced it and you got 14. Think about it like that. Like a month ago you didn't have this, now you have this, and now you're starting something. Think about it like that. And that led me into December, and for my Christmas special that first year, I remember I had made more 7-Up and pound cakes than I had ever made in my life. And I remember I made like over 20 cakes that December, and I was just feeling good. And that's around those times for like desserts was starting to like help me find my voice, find who I was as a young man, and start to really come into my own. Because at that point I didn't have like my friends around as much because everybody kind of went off to school. So I'm at college in Marin. I'm working at St. John's, and I'm kicking it with people to an extent, but nowhere near like maybe before. So a lot of the times I'm just to myself right now, or we're rocking with family. You feel me?
Yeah, I got a question though.
Go ahead.
Going back to the pricing, the input, those type of things. Although you didn't like it per se and you were annoyed by it and stuff like that, do you think it was beneficial as like a lesson towards how
without
you
a
need to
doubt.
handle business? Because although I understand, the input is like, as an entrepreneur, I guess to a certain extent you kind of need input, but then at the same time you really don't. And you really don't want it.
Well, it depends too, though.
But
so
do you
like,
think it's a nice lesson for you to learn? Like,
great lesson.
Hey, I need to be able to handle those situations because it's going to happen.
Without a doubt,
You know what I
because
mean?
it's gonna happen regardless. Like,
Yeah.
like it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Like people used
Even if your cakes was
$20.
if it was $5, somebody would be like,
Like
that's too
somebody
low.
was somebody
Somebody
was
else got
gonna
something to
say
say.
something regardless, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember one of my old teachers used to try to tell me, you should be selling your cakes for $20. You'd sell more. And that coming from one of my teachers, I thought that was the dumbest thing I could ever heard. Because yes, I may be selling more, but now I done cut my price by 50%. So now I got to make double the same amount of cakes just to make what I'm making right now. Where do I ever make money to do anything? So I'm like, people obviously aren't understanding the point. and don't take it personal, right?
Yeah, but their argument would be like, what if you said 500? You know what I mean? Is there a price too much?
Okay,
Is
that's
what you think?
that's an argument to it,
Because
but
I don't think so.
but also
Depending on
but
how
also
much you want to sell it for, you should sell it for that
and
price.
that but that's
on-
what I think where it really comes to. Like, you got to be comfortable with what you want to set your price point to.
Yeah.
You got to know who your market is, and then you got to market to that. But I will say this: if I would have got no orders, or if nobody was doing it, rocking with me, then I would have had to pay more attention to it and adjust. But it was the simple fact that I realized the people that always said something, they used to just always say something. They didn't usually order from me, which was okay.
The thing
right?
is, the argument there is like, would they have ordered from you if it was lower?
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
But
That's business.
But that's business
That's
too,
business.
and I was comfortable with that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but I definitely think the lessons was great, because now I know how to handle situations like that a lot better, and everything's a lesson at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
what it reminds me of is Big Baller Brand and LeVar Ball, and kind of what he tried to do with starting his own brand and stuff like that. And he
Shout
came
out
out with
LeVar
a shoe.
Ball.
Shout
Shout out
LeVar
to
Ball.
him.
And then he came out with a shoe that was $400.
I feel you.
You know
Now,
what I mean?
mind you, I will say this: I was not my target market, also, so I knew I couldn't be affording a $40 cake. So I also
I'm not gonna hold you. I couldn't afford a $40
I
cake.
knew I couldn't afford a $40 cake.
You know, I really think I might get into the cake business, bro.
Word.
Like, after this, you know, $40 cake. Everybody got a birthday.
I feel you.
There's a graduation every year.
Yo, so would you make custom cakes though?
Yeah, definitely. I'd target a middle to high end market.
That's what he did.
That's what I was kind of trying to go
So,
to. I started going to like lawyers' offices in the city, or just because I was networking. Like, the kids at St. John's parents used to like my dessert.
And
So-
not only that, but they were also in his target market. So
Literally.
he did it the right way in terms of who he reached out to. Now, if he would have went to all the, the lower income people and said $40 a cake, that might not have been the best play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because are they really able to afford that?
Well, there's a reason why there's, PacSun versus Balenciaga. You know?
Exactly. So there's different brands for different target markets, and he stuck to his brand. So,
And I
gotta
was
commend you
trying
for
to that's why I made sure I had quality ingredients.
And
I
then you
did
gave
everything
great
from
customer
scratch.
service.
And I was delivering too. Like, I was actually like shooting myself in the foot by delivering. And it got to the point where I got so in my bag about the price point, I'm going anywhere to bring it to you now, though.
So you would get a $40 cake and it would be delivered to you.
So
from
it didn't
wherever you
matter-
are in the Bay
it didn't
Area.
matter where
Whether
you
it's
was.
San Francisco, which is, maybe a 30-minute drive from his house.
And I got
to
to pass
Vallejo,
bridge.
which the man would have to go over the bridge, and in the Bay Area, you have to actually pay toll. You have to pay money to get over the bridge.
By the time I got to like my second or third special, I was going from, I start off at my home in
Nobody
Richmond.
really talks about that. That he does bring there's a lot of value adds when you buy anything from him.
Right.
He comes in a
suit and tie.
I mean, I'm talking.
and I started
dapper
off on
suit.
accident.
Show him some pictures, dog, because the man be coming dappered down.
Well, that shit was kind of the brand. Like,
Yeah.
my first day, my first special, I showed up. I put on my suit that morning, and I said, I think this is how I should do it. And it ended up working out for me because self-consciously, I think I did it because I wanted to make sure, didn't matter what room I went into, I was gonna get the amount of respect I wanted.
I love that.
Thank you. Because I knew if I went in there at 18 at that time in just a t-shirt, some jeans, some J's real quick, they're already not rushing to support me as it is.
Right.
So I in that moment, I said, let me throw in a suit, cut out I just tried to eliminate every different factor. But by the time I got to a few different specials, I was starting off in Richmond. I'd work my way through. If I had to go through Antioch, I might go through Antioch. I might go up through Hercules, Vallejo, Fairfield, wrap around through Marin, come all the way back through San Francisco one time. Like,
And it's crazy because I may not have bought any cakes or cupcakes or anything like that, but I for sure was right there with you.
for sure supported.
Supported in other ways by supporting with my time, like we talked about last fall.
Like a lot of my closest friends would, they would be behind the camera for me when I needed a video.
Yeah,
They would be there to take the picture. Like, everybody's not a chef, but my folks was in the kitchens with me. You know what I mean? And if they like, my shout out to my boy E, the up and coming Chef E. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Big announcement.
Elijah Willis put it out there.
But like, he would be in the kitchen with me. You know what I mean? So like folks could show up in other ways, and I think, and like
some of us couldn't afford. I couldn't
and that's the
afford
thing,
it,
and like,
I mean?
and now, and I think that's why I got so emotional, because I don't even want this episode to get misunderstood as if like I thought like that cake wasn't necessarily high in some circles. You feel me? Some circles told me that's not high and stopped saying that, but I can understand how in other circles it was, because I couldn't even afford it when I did it. But that wasn't my point, and I had never at any point wanted to force anybody to order from me. It was just, this is what I'm doing. I'm out here. I'm kind of going through some stuff, but I don't want to tell you I'm going through some stuff in this moment, because I just gotta work it out right now.
Man, you know it's crazy, bro. You really had a full-fledged business plan without even going through the SWOT analysis
and
stuff
the crazy
that we
thing
learned about in
is,
school.
it took me until like I really started getting into my business classes and realized how much I understood that stuff to a T,
Because you did it
but
already.
I wasn't as structured.
Yeah. But you literally covered every aspect in it without even knowing
Literally
what a business plan was supposed to be like. Or maybe you did, but it's because you watched your dad do it. You know what I mean?
Well, because I watched him do it in real time my whole life. You know what I mean? And I watched a lot of trial and error, but I watched somebody that was never afraid to keep moving forward, because he understood he had to. You feel me? So by just that enough helped me know, well, it's like, hey, well, gotta get that dirt off my shoulder real quick and keep pushing. You feel me?
So my only question now is, with where you're at, would you call it a success in through all the bumps and hiccups that you went through in starting a business? Like you said, you had a business plan. There's so many elements that came into creating this one thing. Mm-hmm. Are you happy with where you're at right now? Would you call it a success?
I will ultimately call it a success. Yes, but I'm very hard on myself at the same time, because this year has been a big year where I had a lot of time to do a lot of reflecting, right? In 2015, 2016, I'm building. 2017, I'm building. 2018, I'm building. Just start doing some merchandise. But because I'm so stubborn in my personal life and feel like I really want to leave where I am and go out and explore, which isn't anything wrong with.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go to LA. I wanted to come out here, and it didn't matter what. I really wanted to go to UCLA, but it didn't really matter at a certain point. I ended up at Dominguez Hills and Carson. But yeah, I ended up out there, and in that moment, it shifted where the business was and where we necessarily would have been going in that immediate moment. Like, I don't know for a fact if I would have stayed home, things would have continued to go and grow how it was. But now in hindsight, I could see how I could have had a bigger play if I'd have just sat tight a little bit longer.
Right. Yeah. But that's exactly what I had to think about when taking a step back with Learn, Develop, and Grow. It was like, do I continue to ride this wave and kind of just go through starting a nonprofit and continuing on with these events without having the true knowledge of what are the behaviors of inner city children? What are the family trauma or family dynamics that go into adding to their behavior? You know, the difference between adolescence and prenatal, or adolescence and teenage, or adolescence and adulthood? Does adolescence stop at 25 when they say that your brain is supposed to stop?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have had this knowledge unless I said, you know what, hold up. Instead of diving into a realm of children and family homes without having an education under my belt, let me go and take care of this task so that I can be better prepared to articulate myself with this whole new knowledge that I've done studying child psychology, But then people are looking at me like, well, bro, like you met KD, you were highlighted, you was at the game, you got da. But you got to ride this wave because you'll never get it again. Or what happened, bro? We don't see you like live anymore. You don't be doing anything. What's going on with Learn, Develop, and Grow? And I got to swallow that pill every time I explain to them. It's like, just hold on a second. That's always there. I brought out 160 people, but it doesn't stop there. Once I was done with that, I was thinking about bringing out 5,000 people the next time I did it. But then in front of 5,000 people, what seeds can I plant throughout that? And that's me taking a step back so that I could take 3 when I come back.
That's important.
Come back even stronger,
Hey, we pod now.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the point where we talk about slowing down to speed up, because that's essentially what I was doing while I was at school. Because how I would narrate that time is I got like most of my game on how to like be a business owner, run business, start something, and just go for it from like the Bay. No, wait a second.
Because you already had that.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I got from the Bay. But by the time I came to Dominguez Hills, that's where I learned like scalability and that structure, like you were about to reference. Like that's where I started learning, like, because I knew I wanted to do things bigger than just out of my mom's kitchen, but that was my reality. And the point that I think is very important is don't be afraid to sometimes just take that leap. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what I did. Like I said, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. I like to cook. I did this before. Branded a little bit better because I could have came back with D'Artagnan's desserts, and that was the debate at that time. But I knew my name is not the easiest thing to say, and I started learning through like our Lego show days of, branding, make it something that's catchy, something that you could easily say. So I just kind of put a twist on dessert. Took out of here, put something here, swish it a little around, and boom, desserts. And that one slice will change your life kind of just came from me just kind of just talking one time.
Did you even know that? The slogan is one slice will change your life.
Fire. Shout out desserts.
Appreciate it.
Shout out desserts.
Man,
coming to
I wish
you.
We had
a
some,
city near
some
you.
Cupcakes, man.
Usually we for sure do.
We always... That's not even a go-to. That's crazy. That's not even a go-to.
No, at this point, the cupcakes are for sure. Well, by the time that first Valentine's Day came about, that's when I unveiled the cupcakes and the raspberry swirl cheesecake, because there's no better way to show your partner you love them than with desserts.
Yeah, I like that.
That's just
how
we was.
That's Valentine's Day. Ooh.
Oh yeah, no, we was coming, and I had to. Then that's when I came through with the tan suit with the vibrant colors for the lovers. I had to show out. But that's when I brought the red velvet cupcakes and the cheesecake, and that's when I was starting to like, okay, now I gotta take it somewhere, right? I always knew how to do the 7-Up cake because that was my mom. Like that's an OG family recipe right there. And I used to help my mom make that cake as a kid, but I didn't really know how to cook cupcakes, nor did I, for damn sure, didn't know how to make cheesecake. And that's when I had to start getting into my bag on how I can expand my menu in certain areas. And those were the first 2 things I wanted to bring to the table. And by the time they hit the streets, they was a hit. And at this point, the red velvet cupcakes have definitely become the top seller. Like folks go crazy over the red velvet joint.
He used to come to school when I was in college at LMU. He used to come to the school with a batch, and he would take it around all the homies or whatever and kind of video record their reactions. Everybody had a good. It was
For
crazy.
sure got
Everybody
the
had
Deezer's
good
first time
reactions.
reactions. I did a lot of in that moment I was doing a lot of good branding stuff accidentally a lot. Like me wanting to take pictures with my customers every special. Like when I dropped it off, I delivered it to you, then I'm in a suit and if you want, I say, you want to take a picture? We get a picture. Now you on our Instagram. Because the point of Desserts was really like, I was trying to build a community. Like, I used to always say, this isn't my business, this is ours. And the fact that I was building it to fund my education, I didn't know the big play for it at the moment, but I always knew it was bigger than me. What I wanted it to grow into, you know?
Are we seeing a bakery in the future for desserts?
Well, it's kind of crazy. This is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Breaking news, guys.
This is breaking news. I literally went home after the last time I was out in LA doing the podcast, and I had got access officially to a commercial kitchen in Point Richmond, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. I tried to hit you with the explosions. Let me see. No, yeah. So that's kind of was the first step. At a certain point in time, I wanted to do a food truck. My dad has a food truck. Yeah. I wanted to do the own desserts food truck. I wanted to do this because, you know, a lot of people, when you get into like the rooms of like consulting as it comes to like businesses now, they try to really make you shy away from brick and mortar. So like by the time I learned about scalability out here, most of the mentors I came around did not really like the idea of me starting up a bakery in a like location. But I'm definitely gonna have one. I like the idea of franchising, honestly. Like
I'll tell you this: the reason why they probably said that is from a business standpoint. It's not as profitable as it could be.
Well, for sure, especially now with like the way e-commerce is. You know what I mean?
Like,
so
that was just them adding their 2 cents and saying, "Hey, you're not gonna make as much money as you could with this other business or whatever." But
something is only as valuable as the work you put into it.
And that's
very true because like just as easily as it's like hard to keep up with a location now, like fast forward, our whole game plan is about real estate because that's at this point we've realized the way we know how to like hustle. You feel me? Like just off the simple fact of if I go into it and now I'm owning the building, I not only get to run desserts through the daytime, but if I want, I can rent out our kitchens to caterers, whatever. I can host events. I can do classes. You know what I mean? I could dress the store up to where we sell stuff like this spot out in Berkeley called Spun Sugar that I go to. I think they do classes in the back, but in the front, it got all types of equipment in there. You know what I mean? Like, but once you own something and understand the value in that ownership, you have a lot of control and a lot of leverage. Now, if I'm going into it trying to lease something right now, it could be ugly. It could be ugly. But with me owning something, it could be a worth it risk when you know how to dip and dabble, I feel like.
And that's all business is. What risks are you willing to take to get to the top, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I love to say it. It's a money race, fellas, but it ain't no problem coming in second, you know?
Yo, what does that entail? What does coming in second really entail when you're talking about money? What does it mean?
Well, I mean, my guy, you might have a better idea than me. You might have a better marketing skills than me.
Okay.
You might have better organization skills than me when it comes to getting to the money, and that might be more profitable for you. But if you make 10 mil and I make 9 mil, I mean, I can't be mad at you, my dog. You know, right?
So that second place is, hey, it's second place. You know what I mean?
But that's why they say like you put in an A effort, and the least you can get is a B. You know, so it's like some things may not work out for you. Some people have different cards in their deck.
Shoot for the moon, land on the stars.
Exactly.
Or shoot for the stars, land on the moon.
Another interesting point is, how do you know that's for you?
You never do.
I mean? You never really know. Like, you can feel it in your heart as much as you want to, or you could be very good at it, but sometimes it just may not pan out.
Well,
And when do you have to decide to pivot and move? Because we are in a capitalistic society.
Right.
You do need money to survive. But coming from an entrepreneurship standpoint, with that in the back, with that like being said, and that being in other people's minds, or maybe in your mind, how do you stay afloat? How do you keep pushing through and saying, you know what, this shit is for me. I'm about to make it.
Well, I like to say first, love is a choice, and that's not only in relationships. Having love and passion for something that you're doing, it's a choice. You have to be patient with it. You gotta be like, you gotta make sure that you're not trying to milk whatever you're doing just for the financial gain. That's being selfish.
No, see, I understand that, but there's also, we have to survive.
That's true.
So like,
well, that's why you got to be realistic.
What if you do things? Yeah, well, I'll let you finish. But what if you do things that you absolutely love, but it don't make no money? You can't survive unless you do something different. You know what I mean?
I feel that.
Yeah, because we live in a capitalist society, it would be nice to live in a society where everyone can do what they are very passionate about and not have to worry about that type of stuff.
But the question is, can everything make money? If you have the skill to sell it, can it make money?
Sometimes some people's skill aren't things that can be sold. You know what I mean?
Do you have examples?
I mean, I don't know. I guess there's something there. I guess there's, you can think about it and think that everything can make money, but
well, I think the point is,
I might like to swim with dolphins.
Yeah, but you can leverage that. That's the point. Like I really want to disagree with kind of where you
go ahead.
Because the main point in your question is, I think you have to be realistic in the fact of, like he's saying, you have to be patient with it. Like his business, that's probably his baby. I refer to Desserts as like my baby in that process of being patient. So with that, you have to also know what's going on in your life and what you do need as well. So if that's being said, sometimes you can't give 100% to your business until your business gets to a certain point.
What if it never does?
And I guess that's the blind faith of it. You know?
Well, yeah, because then it's like, well, I think it's like they say, you work your 9 to 5 to pay your bills, and from there you work your 5 to 9, and that's your dream and your passion. And at that point, if it's your dream and your passion, it's on you to determine when it doesn't work or whatnot. As long as everything else is handled and secured, like you have that freedom to dream. Like who's to say like that's it's not working? Who's to say it's not whatever just because you can't make $1?
There are people out there that say, I don't want to work 9 to 5 ever.
That's true.
No, and I don't want to work that shit ever. Excuse my French. I don't want to. Like I am one of those people. But with that, like but that's why that's the saying. Like that's why I say you have to be realistic with yourself. Like I know for a fact Desserts isn't gonna pay all my bills right now. Like I am in a privileged situation where I'm with my grandmother right now, and like I don't have mad expenses and mad bills to where I have the opportunity to stack, build, and everything. But I knew if I had to pay rent, like for example, there's less time for play. You feel me? Yeah. So I am in a space where I can maybe go for it a little bit more. But like for an example, someone like my sister, she is a prime example of working that day job that she has to go do to pay for her bills to survive. But then with her extra time, she puts that into her passions, her dreams, and where she wants to go. And that's on you to determine if you want to keep doing that or not.
I think it's pretty tough though. I do think it's one of those things where you kind of just bet on yourself. And sometimes you got to be smart about it. Like, if I have to go and be a Postmates driver or Uber driver just to take care of the bills, you know, and then also create my own schedule to where I'm handling my bills and then also doing things that I think is fun and healthy for me that keep me sane, you know?
I feel you.
Yeah.
But and I can also make profit from that. Yeah. That's a whole nother hustle. Yeah. But you have to, it's adding tools to the tool shed. Yeah. You gotta have so many different
I just hate that we're not able to pursue our dreams 100% and not have to worry about that aspect of money. And that's where I was getting at. It just sucks.
Yeah.
It for sure does.
Like some things we could be super good at it. Some things I feel like may not make money. It might not make money at that time to where we actually need it. You know
But
what I mean?
if it's like the reason I even
So you can't
landed
put
into
100%
like the
into it.
daycare idea was because I was searching for what makes me happy at that point.
Yeah, of course.
So and I think that's kind of like what attests to you,
But
like
your goals actually make you money.
well for sure. But your main point, but I wasn't going into it with the angle
Of course,
to
no,
make
of
money.
course.
I was going into it because I was trying to find what makes me happy.
Of course.
But and I think that's kind of what you're kind of hitting on. You wish we could be in a society where you could just naturally do what makes you happy, right?
Yeah, and not have to worry about that monetary aspect at all. You know what I'm saying?
But in a sense, does money make you happy
No.
when you
No,
make it?
but it
No.
gives you options. It gives you.
I honestly
plenty options.
I like our currency system. I think it gives me joy knowing that I can make money.
So that's. Do you agree or like capitalism?
I love capitalism.
Okay.
I love that if I have something to offer, I can make money off of it and then use that money to buy like things that I like cars and houses and things like that. But if I have an idea, I can pursue that. I have the freedom to pursue that idea to make money. It's a certain skill, you know?
What about the stance that, capitalism, gives this, makes way for status and pressure to be a certain status and things like that. Because there are people who are essentially at the bottom, let's say this pyramid of wealth or whatever, who don't have any, who want to be up at the top. And then, resources aren't allocated equally to different groups of people. And so they don't have as much access or the access that other people do have to make it to the top.
I don't all the way think it's the full idea of the system in that regard.
So for what?
As like you're saying that hierarchy of wealth, because I think the issue is the people at the top is just selfish, and I think that's the real issue.
But the thing is, that's what capitalism breeds. It's selfish.
So
But
I think
go ahead.
I think personally we have a competitive nature about ourselves. I mean, if you think about it, like some of the things that we watch is sports. We like seeing there being a champion, and we like seeing there's a LeBron James versus a bench player.
But don't you see how that revolves around capitalism?
Yes, and I'm all for it.
And it breeds that's what that breeds, selfishness.
I mean, but it's on you to have that self-control, right? And to not let profit consume you and alter your ego.
But it does to almost a lot of different people. You know
It
what I mean?
does.
But
Yeah.
I think money
That's what I
doesn't
believe.
change you. It just shows who you truly were, or who you truly
Like
are.
alcohol.
Like, because the point I was kind of trying to go down is like, I aspire to obtain wealth,
Yeah.
to be somebody that is making a lot of money, but with that same aspiration, I desire to want to help a lot too. So I think with being able to have that opportunity, if everybody at that top 1% area was moving with that aspiration, then there could be more of what you're referring to, of being able to move off of passion and true desire of what you want to do. But the simple fact that everybody won't always be like everybody. And that's kind of just what it kind of is.
It's just an interesting concept because capitalism breeds, like it gives way for the haves and the have-nots. So in order for there to be capitalism, you have to have that structure in place. The structure doesn't make sense if we're all on the same level. We're all making
everybody
the same
doesn't.
money.
Everybody doesn't
Want to be on the same level.
That's
of
what
course.
but that's the point to where but that's why now mind you, I could easily be wrong, but I feel like if those at the top moved with selfless intentions with everything they did, you would naturally see a trickle down effect that may occur.
No, of course.
That may level things out, that give people more of an opportunity to move off of true want instead of need all the time.
And I think that was one of the biggest.
I think that destroys capitalism. But
I think it was one of the biggest moments in human history was creating a currency system because it tapped into motivating a large population of people to try and get to a certain status and be able to buy certain things like real estate, like clothing, and it's created all these markets where people are buying, selling, and trading their wants and their needs, and what they think is valuable at this period of time. So I think with a capitalistic society, people are getting the satisfaction of doing what they enjoy doing, buying what they enjoy,
Some
things
people
that they like. Oh,
because
okay.
everyone doesn't have that luxury, which
That's true.
Which is the point I'm trying to make.
But it's all scale, right? It's like, at what scale can you buy? Some people are shopping at Walmart. Some people are shopping at Costco. Some people are shopping at Gap, and some people are shopping at Balenciaga. Some people are buying cars. Some people are taking the bus. But if you believe in, and that's why I think America is one of the greatest countries ever, if you believe in your constitutional right to have freedom to use the resources in your area, now obviously the resources aren't allocated into places evenly. Exactly. But if you have the opportunity to move into an area or move into a position where you can get those resources and then use those resources just based off pure motivation and will and enough balls to just go after what you dream, and the amount of hustle you put into it, you receive a dollar amount, and depending on if it's high or if it's not, you feel a sense of accomplishment. It's like getting that NBA Finals trophy after playing 82 games. It's like I love it. I love capitalism. I think it drives what the American dream is.
Yeah, there's a lot of theory behind like both the pros and cons for it too.
Yeah, and there's definitely cons. It's a broken system.
It's very interesting to listen to both sides. Yeah. I personally like capitalism myself. I was just playing devil's advocate and questioning, or giving out some of the cons to it.
I would rather than picking Republican, Democrat, I would rather say I'm a capitalist. Like that's what drives my political views, and if I can obviously like protect my family or protect, people that share the same story or same space as me, if I can protect them with laws and stuff like that. But what I'm really looking out for is my best economic endeavor or best economic whatever, like legislation and things like that. And that's where all my political views come from. Yeah.
It's interesting. That's I don't even want to get into the political bag, but that's for sure. Like, from what I understand, that's somewhat of the difference between a Democratic person and a Republican. Yeah, is that self-interest part?
Yeah, because
Democrats
I for sure don't necessarily want to go down that path, but I can agree. Yeah. I don't. I didn't know
we can stop it there.
You're okay.
Yeah, we can stop it there. It's very, very interesting
for sure.
How that all ties together too.
Yeah. No, for sure. But I think the point of, and maybe I just go into it with a childlike, optimistic spirit, but I view it as in that championship analogy. When we get to where we want to be, do you remember where you came from?
I do.
But wait, just right there.
No, for sure.
So when we get to where we get to, and in that moment, we had to go out and the resources weren't provided. They weren't smack dab in front of us, and the journey wasn't easy. But because we had to take the long route and go out and find the different resources and actually connect the dots, I feel like if we consciously go into it in these moments in time now, knowing that that's our intentions, we can now open up a pathway to an angle to make it to this point too.
Agree. I totally
You get what I'm saying?
No,
and
I totally agree.
And I think that's the issue in between. Like, people go into it the whole time with that self-serving interest, and I get it when like everybody's closing doors and it feels like, yo, it's just me against the world and I gotta do it. Like, yo, hey, I get it. But I think it's supposed to be bigger than us. You feel me? And with that being said,
It's deeper than rap.
and that's the point, to where it's like the same people that will say fuck me, like the only reason I give a fuck is because I know I'm damn near doing all of this just so that I could try to make a pathway for us, for our kids, our people, like to where at this point I can't even afford to take it personal because it's bigger than me, it's bigger than us. And that's kind of the only point I was kind of trying to go at with it, just because obviously those that are there now, they don't give a fuck. A few may give a fuck. A few may.
The same, I feel like, and this is theory and stuff too, but we care. And there are a lot of people who do care, but there's not enough people.
And I think that's the point. And that's the point.
That's theory, but that there's not enough people who care.
Because there are people that do care.
Live in the society we live in. I feel like it would be a lot different. If everyone cared, we wouldn't be living in this I got to get mine type of society.
But in this moment, I think all our part that we can do now is try to lead a trail behind us of moving differently, and hope that over time it can then enact another generation to want to keep doing that, to where over time it's a bigger play. You get what I'm saying?
So here's more theory. I don't know if this is podcast healthy, but more theory. If we were able to change everyone's life to get to that point, to where everyone was on the same playing field and level, would there even be capitalism? If everyone was pretty much the same.
Well, I think the fact that everybody doesn't want the same things, you'll just start to see people just naturally fall into where they want to be at. You know what I mean? Like some people be backpacking around the world. They're comfortable with minimal living. Some people want the finer things, but they can't afford the finer things. You know what I mean?
But if everyone had our mindsets, would there be finer things? It's theory. It's all theory.
I think finer things is whatever you make it to. Like you put the value into the materialistic things. You feel me?
Yeah. Well, it's
theory. This is all theory.
I know, and this is one thing. You know, you guys know the artist Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he said in one of his songs, he was like, "People will do anything to get the millions that I have, just so that they can think that they're as free as I am."
Because that's the point. Like once you get the money, that does not mean everything just gets naturally easier. Everything goes away.
So I think, you know, even people who make millions of dollars, people that are middle class, people that are poor, they all have their fair share of problems.
For sure.
You know, dealing with obviously like certain things. So I think what God has for us is different plans and different ways for us to learn about ourselves through whatever situation. Yeah, you can have wants and needs and yada yada yada, but I don't think it would do humanity a favor if we were all on the same playing field. You know, we all have to unite and love each other, as there are levels to people's lives. You know, we have to understand that some people are less fortunate than us. We have to understand that people are more fortunate than us. Not having envy, and while also having the heart to care about a person who is doing worse than you are. And then how do you look at the things that you have? What is the lens that you put on and say, you know what, I'm actually going to treat this thing with love and respect, because somebody over in a third world country would pray to eat just a little bit of food that you have.
Yeah, facts.
Or maybe play for 30 minutes on your iPhone or something like that. Never ever seen an iPhone, but you'll just pick up your iPhone and throw it on the bed or something like that, instead of just setting it in a place where it'll never fall. What? They made a whole business of cases, obviously for the aesthetic, but also protection, because people are careless with their things.
Yeah.
Let's show more love. Let's show more respect. Let's show more, you know, to the things that less fortunate people don't have.
Yeah, no, yeah. I would love to keep this conversation going off camera because I still got more questions for you guys about it. But we've been harping on it for a minute. But yeah.
Well, that's smooth.
You know what's crazy? We didn't even do a check-in. How are you guys? How are you, KP?
I'm good, man. What time is it? It's 10:30. I'm feeling good right now.
What about you, D-Wop? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm happy to be in this presence. I'm happy to be in this moment. How are you feeling, Steve?
Man, I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I like this conversation. I like picking you guys' brains about like topics in general.
Hey, you know it's mad smooth. Y'all look sensational today. Like,
oh man,
like I'm telling y'all can't see it on the cameras, but these fellas, they come suited and booted to the podcast. I like it.
We appreciate
We're trying to
like
the same way we move with desserts. We trying to do it here. We are.
This is desserts. This is desserts TV. So what you talking
right
about,
here
Roth?
live. But that's my point. We are trying to be young professionals, and we aren't perfect, but we are definitely trying to.
Bro, tell them what you're trying to build, because I don't think we got into all that unless you might not be ready to reveal it, but all that D encompasses and what he wants to build, because you have some really lofty goals, and you know one thing I love about you is your lofty goals. People may not think it is, but everything you think is attainable. You can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. I'm sorry, we're getting a little religious here.
Well,
say it again, brother.
But
you can
that's
do all things
that's
through
the
Christ that
reason I
strengthens you.
decided to continue to believe in myself, because he's the one that gives me the strength. And at the end of the day, I be thinking a mile a minute. And as I've been recently dealing with like my mental health stuff, I've been really trying to check myself. And now I'm like battling with this version of myself to have all these ideas, because right now it's really time to lock in and focus, you know? So,
you know what's another crazy thing about that is I feel like as we get older, we lose that young, creative, almost entrepreneurship spirit that we had.
Well, I think life starts to
and life starts to hit you, and it kind of rolls back into the capitalism thing.
But that's that point you talk about where once you have like real responsibilities and stuff, like that's why those OGs would be like, yo, like what's this young blood talking about over here? Like,
it takes a lot to keep it.
A lot.
It takes a lot to keep it. So that's why
it's hard.
You talk about the struggles of the things that you're going through right now, but those are struggles and things that people go through when they have this entrepreneurship mindset, this creative mindset, because you start to lose it because of life.
That's why most true entrepreneurs never retire. They're always doing something. It's like, okay, I've done this for 20 years. Now I'm going to move on to the next thing.
And they're innovative,
right? They'll retire for maybe a year and then get bored while they're on their island or something, hanging out, you know?
Right now, I'm just a hungry hustler.
Right? And you just never stop, you know, whether you make $1 in a day or you make 1,000 in a day, you just love the hustle. You love it. I think it drives me to just keep doing more and more, because I want to be able to build a school, you know, and if anything can add to one little piece of creating that school, I'm going to do it. And then when the job is done, then, okay, now how can I sell my curriculum to schools nationwide?
That's
so that
the plan.
I put a stamp on all of these kids' learning environments all across the world, you know? And then after I'm done with that, okay, cool. Now I can go and talk in front of school assemblies, you know, talk about, hey, are you being heard? You know, you have a voice as a young 6th grader over in Tacoma, Washington, or a little 15-year-old girl over in New York City. You know, with all these dreams and doesn't even know where to go yet. You know, you're heard. You know, the young boy over in Florida who's having issues with his parents. You know, you're heard, we want to give you a platform, just like we were talking about earlier. You know, giving young athletes a platform to express the way that they feel when a whole lot of pressure is put on them to, one, have great grades, and then also play a sport that is so demanding of your time and perform.
It's a career
every night
at that time.
And when you're showing out for 20,000 people, you're not getting paid a dime for it.
Man, that's the college system for you, and it sucks, man.
And people
I
will
definitely
say,
think athletes need to get paid.
and people will say, "Oh, the education is enough," but the education doesn't guarantee that you'll have a job after.
Well, one of the bigger issues is, like, even if I can't get a paycheck from playing, I really don't like the idea that they don't let you even make $1 off of your brand.
Right.
Shout out to
yourself.
LeVar Ball, man.
Shout out
You know
to
what
LeVar,
I mean? And
man.
I think that's like the worst part of it all. Like, it's one thing if you're not gonna pay me, but you're gonna give me the education. Okay, cool. But I can't go out and like be a brand ambassador
Bro,
when
they
I have 100,000 followers.
They own you.
Like, I can't go out and
They
like
physically own you.
It's crazy.
It,
A little modern day
slavery, man. This is ridiculous. This is the type of society we live in. You know why? Capitalism.
Yeah.
Talk it,
Capitalism, dog.
Yeah.
Talk it. Yeah. That's the problem.
I hate to say it. Sorry.
If you hate to say it, then say it, Steve.
It's, but like, you know, some say that like business models are very pyramid like, and it seems like athletes are below the below the pyramid. You know, so you have the minimum wage at the bottom. You know, the low income, the people that say the poor wage gap or whatever.
I mean, but what about, you know, you look at companies that go overseas and do sweatshops and stuff like
Right.
that. How ethical is that?
Exactly.
And that's actually something we learned in our business class, because
Right.
you got some that say, you know what, this is their living conditions in this country. Pretty ethical to me.
Yeah.
I mean, why should America be the standard?
I think that's something we can research. We could write a book, you know, Life Under the Pyramid. You know, exposing people that are not taken seriously and given the right wages for their work.
Well, in that country, it may be the right wages, but here
that
it may
doesn't
not.
mean. But
that,
you could for sure go down
that's
there
that
and
argument.
you could set the president. And I think that ties back into
But even
the
that-
content, who you decide to be.
But even that, because there's a lot of people that say if you raise the minimum wage to living conditions, more living conditions or whatever, that'll just raise the price of everything else.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's it's tough. It's such a touchy subject, because we've had case studies in school, and you know, we have a lot of people who agree, you know, people need to survive, they need to live, so we need to raise the minimum wage, or we need to pay those workers more money.
Right.
But when you pay those workers more money, everything else goes up, and that's what, you know, inflation is.
Yeah.
So it's just like, where is that balance
That's true.
within a capitalistic society that we live in? Where is that balance? Because there's a lot of haves and have-nots, and how do you at least balance it out?
That's
somewhat?
tough. Yeah. Well,
I don't have all the answers.
I ain't got the answers either, but we can.
either.
What we can do is, you know, choose to live in this world and do all of the philosophies you guys have been talking about. Is, hey, I'm gonna grind it out so that I can pave the way for the next generation, my friends, my family, the people I know, the people I don't know, so where we can kind of ideally reach.
Well, because I
that
think
moment where everybody has those resources.
because at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere, and right now I can't, like, if we're gonna be as honest, like, I'm broke, so like I can't in this current moment save the world right now, but I can do the smaller things.
You can plant that seed.
And that's the point, to where as I continue to grow, build, get it, and if I continue on this mission, game plan that I'm trying to like align and walk through, then down the line, I now have something to give. That could be more than my family, but that's because if I gave the game to the right people, now it's not just me 20 years from now ready to go help everybody. It's a coalition of people behind me that are like-minded or ready to go enact change. You feel me?
Man,
Knowledge expands the mind. Knowledge of truth opens opportunities.
I feel like that could be a whole T-shirt or something. Plant a seed.
Really,
Plant a seed.
I like that.
Or plant a seed in someone or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's all we trying to do is plant a seed.
We're
so it
just
can grow.
giving out little nuggets, man.
Yeah.
Dropping slight gems. If you could pick it up, pick it up.
I'm
If
telling
it's for you,
man.
it's for you.
It's out there for everybody. You know, you just gotta want it. You know, you gotta be able to open up your heart to these seeds that are being planted.
Yeah.
A lot of people will be like, man, just shut down when somebody starts talking their ear off. You know, and I've done it before. I've chosen not to listen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because I feel like I know a little bit better than what other people are telling me.
Well, delivery is important too, though, because it's important
sure.
on how, like, you come as somebody. Like, I learned a lot about it's not how I say it, it's how it's perceived. It's not how I meant it, it's how they heard it. And that's the only thing that at the end of the day matters.
Right.
Like, because I'm the only one that's going to genuinely know what I'm saying until I say it, and then it's up to be interpreted. So
It's intent versus impact.
Yeah.
Man,
I like
it's
that.
It's not what you intend. It's how you impact somebody. So, I mean, it all speaks to what we're talking about.
for sure, man. Well, I appreciate you, brother. So let's talk about some Spread the Sugar, Share the Wealth. If you could highlight one business, my boy KP, what would that one business be?
Yeah, let's just do one for.
No, it's smooth.
I'm gonna have to highlight Juice County Players.
Okay.
What's that?
So I got a friend that I used to actually play basketball against for years. You know, his name's Justin Aluya, and he has a friend named Brennan, and they started a clothing company called Juice County Players.
Wow.
And it's a collective of people who have played sports within Orange County, because we actually call it Juice County.
Word.
You know,
Okay.
the orange juice. You know. So,
Word. Okay. I see the gems y'all throwing out right there with that.
So
Shout out to them.
Yeah, they just came out. They got some hoodies.
Okay.
They got some t-shirts. You know, they got some shorts. Yeah, shout out Juice County Players.
Shout out to Juice County Players, man.
What about you, D?
I think the business I want to highlight today is a business I referenced earlier in this episode. Is my dad's food truck, which goes by the name of Roadside Soul, where you just get some soul by the side of the road. And we plan to be back out on the streets during the holidays and hope to be able to bring Richmond something very special in the next few months. So looking forward to it. Shout out to Pops, man. Can't stop shouting my guy out. Just got it painted, about to get it dipped and dapped a little bit more, and we about to be back at it. So looking forward to that. Roadside Soul, ladies and gentlemen. Look out for it soon. Where you at with it, Steve?
Yeah, man. I'm trying to think. What is Kyrie's business called? I'm gonna shout him out.
I think it's like Natural Remedy or something like that.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. We had a homeboy in high school who started his own
Cannabis
club
Oh, okay,
Out in
cool.
Sac.
out in Sac, and he's super successful.
Cannabis Club.
It's not really a club. He just sells
Yeah.
weed.
Okay.
It's super
Very
successful.
lucrative business.
And he's making a lot of money.
That was another question I have for you. Is like, in the cakes, would you ever think of putting?
I did do edibles.
It's another avenue.
Yeah, I did edibles. I started doing edibles in 2017. Turned the game up, and it was so crazy to see people argue with me about a price of something without the weed in it.
Yeah.
But the moment there was a few grams of THC, the price skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And it was just a natural reaction. And I said, wow.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So
You mean people?
Like, for example, my red velvet cupcakes, if I just sell one of them like out and about, I think I sell them for like $3, right? If it was an edible cupcake, like 100 milligrams each, that was going for like $10 a cupcake at that point.
crazy.
Really? I thought that was 25. Or was that the cake?
Oh, that was the slice of the cake, right? And it might have been like 20, 25. But even then, but that was only because they were super strong. But that cake off rip was gonna be going for like $4 a slice, and now I'm getting like $20 for a slice of cake. What is going on?
Yeah,
here?
I've seen that.
yeah.
I've seen that in action at one of the art events that I've gone to with Joseph. There was a girl who was selling ice cream, and she had edible ice cream, and she it's called Irie cream, I think.
Word.
So
I like
shout
that.
out to Irie cream.
Shout out to Irie
Another
Cream.
business.
Another
Yeah,
one.
another
So
one,
this one
another
was
black owned. So.
Nature's _
Word. Okay.
916. That's his name.
Shout them out.
She was selling a pint of ice cream for like $12-15.
Word.
Yeah, but it was, like my friends tried the one that had THC in it, and they said it took you to the moon.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is something dope. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Realest State of Mind, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank our guests for coming in. We want to thank Steve for being Steve. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know anything else, don't take no wooden nickels and remember who you are. This has been Realest State of Mind.